All right, Gregory, we are back for our third and final segment. You tell me why the Yankees won't make the World Series this year.
I just think with the Yankees, what it's going to come down to is it's going to come down to pitching, and it's going to come down to having to face some of the best pitchers in baseball all stacked on one team.
Mm.
That Astros team that they're going to undoubtedly have to face in the playoffs at some point is just so good. I mean, you're talking about, Verlander, Garrett Cole, Zach Greinke. I mean, those guys are starting 1, 2, 3 in whatever order you want to throw them out there. That's going to be really tough to hit. I don't care who's in your lineup. I mean, Cole set a record for the most strikeouts since like Nolan Ryan in like 1979. It's something ridiculous like that. Verlander still lights out even into sort of the twilight of his career. Greinke almost no hit the Mariners last night. I mean, their pitching staff is so good, and their lineup is still electric, even with Carlos Correa still being kind of on the fence. And with the Yankees, I mean, people are dropping like flies all of a sudden. You add the unfortunate domestic violence investigation on Domingo Germán. He's gone. Betances tears part of his Achilles. I think that's really going to hinder this Yankees team as they head into the postseason. Now I know. If you talk to any Yankees fan, we've been dealing with injuries all year. We're going to be fine. We don't even have Giancarlo Stanton. Sure, but in the playoffs on the much, much smaller scale against the elite of the elite in baseball, I don't think this Yankees team's going to get it done.
Have you seen how talented this Yankees team is?
I do. I see.
Have you seen how talented this Yankees team is? Loaded at every single position. There's a reason they won the AL West in dominant fashion. And you act like their pitching staff isn't solid as well. Like that, when you talk about the Paxtons, James Paxton may be the most underrated pitcher in all of baseball. I genuinely believe that. A guy, nothing but consistent at every turn. You talk about Severino, you talk about Tanaka. Look, did the Domingo Germán, whatever it is, injury have an effect? Sure. There's no question about that. And J.A. Happ did not have the world's greatest year, almost a 5 ERA, but still a winning record. So it's nice to play for the offense that he played behind. When we get to the playoffs, and especially deeper in the playoffs when it's going to matter, it's going to be Paxton, Severino, and Tanaka. And they're not the Astros. No one can throw out what the Astros can in terms of their pitching staff. But they're also really, really good.
Yeah, listen, I'm not saying that the Yankees don't have a bad or good pitching staff, but Paxton certainly had his struggles. You can talk about how consistent he's become as the season's gone on, but the beginning of the season there was a real struggle, and Yankees fans weren't exactly happy with him. CC Sabathia, that guy, last leg, obviously last season that he's going to play there. But let's just say this. So let's talk about Game 1, ALCS. The Yankees trot out Masahiro Tanaka, 4.47 ERA and 31 starts. And we're going to take him out against Justin Verlander, who in 33 starts has a 2.53 ERA. I mean, you're talking at Houston. They have the better record. They would have home field. I'm chalking that one up for the Astros. Then we go to Game 2, and we're going to see Garrett Cole versus either Paxton or Happ in most situations, or Severino. But Severino we've only seen on a very limited, a limited size, or a limited appearances so far because he's still coming back from that injury. You can't tell me that you're not taking Garrett Cole in that situation. And then you get into, obviously, the Wade Miley, Brad Peacock, Zach Greinke arguments versus any of those other starters for the Yankees, whether it's Happ, whether it's Sabathia, whether it's Paxton. I mean, it's really, really hard to not lean strongly for the Astros.
You were talking about the inconsistencies of Paxton. Over his last 11 games, he's given up 4 or more earned runs one time. Over Justin Verlander's last 11 games, he has given up 4 or more runs one time.
That's fine. Again, I said that Paxton's gotten better as the season has gone on. But if you look at it, there's only one there's only one Yankees starting pitcher that has an ERA that's lower than one pitcher in the Astros starting lineup, and that's Brad Peacock. He has a 4.01 ERA, and the only person below that is James Paxton. And Herman was 4.03, but he's out, so he doesn't matter. Everyone else is above all five of their starters. And I think the playoffs, like we always say, comes down to pitching. It's in very rare cases do we see the big bombing team really make that difference. The '08 Phillies are the ones that really come to mind, where their pitching was not on point, and they didn't have those names out there on the mound every night, but their hitting made up for it. And I don't necessarily know if that's going to be enough in this situation with what the Astros are putting on the hill.
Well, it's so funny that you say that, because that was the exact parallel I was going to draw. Can't you see this Yankees team performing very similar offensively to how that Phillies team performed? You're talking about elite level offensive players in this Yankees lineup who can overcome, the occasional rough start by Masahiro Tanaka.
Yeah, they definitely have a scary lineup. I can't sit here and tell you that I wouldn't be worried. When Aaron Judge comes up to the plate, or Gary Sanchez, or Edwin Encarnacion, or a number of these guys.
How about DJ LeMahieu? Yeah.
I was just going to say, LeMahieu's been unbelievable for them. You also have a lot of guys who are going to be entering the postseason for, the first time. Some of these guys obviously got experience last year and the year before in the two different Yankees runs that we saw. There's just an overconfidence that I feel from Yankees fans right now because of how this team's played in the regular season, and I just think the pitching staff's what's really going to let them down. They'll certainly win a couple games here and there throughout the series with the Astros because of that batting, but I just don't think it's going to be as consistent as they need it to be.
I don't know. I look at this lineup and I'm like, this is spectacular. And the fact that they're just now getting Giancarlo Stanton back to add to it, this is going to push them over the top. So, Stanton is a guy, even if he's not hitting the ball, the plate discipline is unbelievable. He had he's a guy with a near 400 OBP. He's going to get on base. He's going to give guys like LeMahieu and Judge and the rest of that crazy lineup, Luke Voigt and so on, more RBI opportunities. This offense can carry this pitching staff, and the pitching staff isn't even bad. It's just not great.
Yeah, but you're going to have to be great against the lineup like the Astros have. I mean, Bregman's an MVP candidate. He's not going to win because Trout's going to win. But you have Altuve, a former MVP. You have George Springer. You have Josh Reddick. I mean, you have a ton of guys in there that can do serious damage when they're at the plate. And I just – it's hard for me to discount what the Astros can do against, okay pitching or upper-level pitching when they're throwing out elite-level pitching.
For me, this is kind of like the hot goalie argument. I feel like the Yankees offense can be the hot goalie that carries them through the playoffs into the World Series.
Yeah, Chris, you got me with hockey. I live for the hot goalie argument.
That's going to be the show for this week.
It is certainly. I mean, listen. Who's to say now that the Brewers aren't going to go around and just whip up on the National League with how they've played since Christian Yelich went down? I mean, they've been unbelievable. Talk about tanking a take that I had just mere weeks ago. The Phillies can't win and the Brewers can't lose. It's been an unbelievable run for Milwaukee.
Yes, the Phillies look like going to finish sub 500 at this point is my guess. Just
they deserve it.
Can't put anything together. Oh my goodness, 15th pick in the draft, which is a good spot because it's a protected pick. I believe it's the last of the protected picks in the first round. Should they sign a free agent, say like Anthony Rendon? I don't know, just throwing a name out there. But and then trade Hoskins and bring Baum up to have him play first base. I haven't thought about all of this. I don't have a plan already. No big deal. Hoskins gets traded for pitching, and the offense looks completely different next year. But yeah. It's a mess of a team, and you're right. The Brewers, who could have seen this coming post Yelich?
I don't think anybody. I don't think anybody could have predicted just how hot they got, and it coincided with every other team that was really in contention just absolutely tanking. The Cubs being absolutely miserable, the Phillies being absolutely miserable. The table was set, and the Brewers just absolutely, smashed right through any meal that was put on the table.
Yeah, looks like two losses in their last 21 games. So
Yeah, it's
that's how you fly up the old standings. And can this continue, or is this just a team giving everything they have in lieu of their captain going down?
I mean, I'm a big momentum guy, so I could see
Yeah.
it happening. I mean, really, where they're going to have to do it is they have to get through that wild card game. They have to go into Washington, or actually, I think they have a chance. I think they have an opportunity to potentially host that game, so they're still playing for something.
Mhm.
Um, they have to win that game. If they can get that one game riding the momentum that they're on right now and get that win, anything can happen in any of these series. I don't think there's anyone that's really necessarily dominant in the National League outside of the Dodgers. And if they can somehow stay red hot at the plate, I mean, you could see them back in the NLCS again.
Yeah, Milwaukee would be the underdog into the Nationals right now. Nationals have one more win than the Brewers do. So I don't know.
I think that's just because the Nationals game just ended with the Phillies, maybe, and the Brewers still probably have to play today. But
No, both teams have played the same number of games.
yeah, yeah.
It
Well,
looks like
keep winning in your last 4 games of the season, and you certainly put yourself at an advantageous thing. Super happy that the Phillies decided that they're going to sit Nola on Sunday for Fan Appreciation Day. Certainly going to get more of my concession money with my final season ticket of the year.
maybe ever.
Yeah, if I'm lucky.
Well, you're solely in charge of that decision, so that's the good news.
It is a good point.
All right, well, that's going to be the show for this week. For Greg Crone, I'm Chris Horwoodell, still undefeated. We'll see you back here next week.